Anyway, okay. Now, where's the craziest place you ever did stand up at?
I feel like the craziest place I've ever done, I've done it in some crazy places. In barbershops, at baby showers and backyards with mud everywhere. Yeah, I've done comedy in the hospital, the old folks' home, in the geriatrics homes. Those have to be the craziest shows. The craziest thing happened in one of those is a guy was sitting with this lady, and they were older, for sure, in their like 70s or 80s. And another woman comes in and she's like, get away from my man. In the middle of my set, and a full-on fight broke out between the two women. But it was like in slow motion, like a slow motion fight. And I was just like, wow, old people fighting. This is crazy. But he must have had some fire in them diapers he had on, because them women was mad about it.
I did a comedy in a laundromat one time in San Francisco. It's called The Brainwash. And you could literally get on stage and do something and run and put some fabric softener in your shit and then come back and get back on stage. That shit was cray.
That is cray, but I feel like that's wonderful. Like anywhere there's a stage, anywhere people are willing to listen, I'm willing to perform, you know?
Absolutely. Now, okay, since you mentioned Girls Trip, we're gonna go down that road. All right. So did you have to audition for that?
Yeah, I auditioned for Girls Trip, and I had to audition like 4 times, I think maybe 5. There's a lot of auditions. I had to pre-read with the casting director's assistant. Then I pre-read again with the casting director.
What agency were you with then?
At that time, I was with APA. Yeah, and it was so funny because I had just did Keanu, and a lot of the crew that was working on Keanu was working on Girls Trip because it was shooting in New Orleans. And a bunch of the crew that was working on it was sending me the script, like, you need to get on this movie. I read it. It's like when you were here last summer. Like, you got to get in this movie. This is you. And as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, this is me. Like, yeah. So I'm telling my agent, like, hey, these crew members keep sending me this script. Like, you got to get me an audition for this. And they're like, oh, yeah, Tiffany, they only want to see names. I said, well, you tell them that I've had a name since 1979 and it's Tiffany motherfucking Haddish. And let me get in there. So I had to do the pre-read, then another pre-read, then the audition. And then I went to the final one, which was with the director. And then it was on Skype. It was so I was in the casting director's office, but he was on a computer. And then like, I was a little uncomfortable because at that point, Skyping was only for like talking dirty to my guy. So I was like, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I start like undoing my buttoning my shirt,
I'm feeling some
start
type of
leaning
way
forward or start doing something like this, just know that you need to reel me back in, because that's what I do on the Skype. And so he was like laughing, and we did it, and then he gave me all these adjustments. He's like, can you do it less urban? Can you do it this way, that way? So all these different ways. Less urban. Because I was doing it, I was bringing Tiffany Haddish to it. So, and then I would change it up.
You didn't really get the less urban part because it was pretty urban in the movie.
Right,
to me.
Right. I mean, he wanted, and it was funny. He was like, less urban. Which is funny
because they usually say, can you do it more urban?
Right.
Or something. That's weird.
Right. He's like, can you do less urban, like more college educated? And I was like, yeah, okay. You want to like fast? Okay. Ooh, this is crazy. We're going to get wild tonight, girls. Like, he was like, all right, bring it back to this. Or like, he kept giving me all these adjustments. And he said, like, and then I found out like 2 days before we had to start rehearsals, he's like, they called me and said, you're going to go to New Orleans. You got the part. You're going to be working with Queen Latifah, Jada Pinkett-Smith, and Regina Hall. And I was like, oh my gosh. Right. Packing my clothes up real fast.
Had you met any of them before?
I hadn't met any of them.
So those relationships were formed on Girls Trip?
On Girls Trip. We had like 3 days of rehearsal, and then bam, we're shooting. And when I first got there, I want to call her by her name, Dana, Queen Latifah, she was on the same flight I was on. And like, I have this like thing where like, I don't necessarily like putting my bags in the overhead myself. So there was a man already that was sitting in the seat next to me. So when I got on the plane, I was like, oh, excuse me, sir, can you help me with my bag? Can you put it up for me? He's like, oh, yeah, I can do it. I was like, thank you. And then I seen her and I was like, girl, we finna be working together. We working together real soon. And she was like, okay. Like, weirdo. I'm sure she thought I was crazy. And then the next day, I go to the director's office and I'm in there talking with him. And I said, well, what made you want to hire me? And he goes, look, there's a lot of people came in for the job and I watched everyone's audition tapes over and over. He said, but every time I watched yours, I laughed every single time. And I said, with this movie already has big names in it and I need somebody that can make everybody laugh. And he said, every time, even though I knew what was coming, you made me laugh every single time. And so that's how I got the job. And then in walks Queen Latifah. She was like, oh, you playing the role of Gina?
Told you we was working together.
I told you we were working together. She was like, oh, this gonna be a mess. This gonna be a mess.
Regina seems amazing.
She is.
Love Regina.
She is.
And then you got very, very close with little Jada.
Yes. Jada is my girl. That's like my big little sister.
Have you talked to Jada since the Entanglement?
I have not talked to Jada since the Entanglement. I have not. And I have nothing to say about that. People think I don't know how to keep secrets, but I do.
I'm sure. Well, yeah.
Because that ain't none of my business. You know, that don't have none of, when it doesn't deal with me, I'm not really speaking on it. Because I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
But I watched it.
Me neither.
I sat back and I watched.
And I ain't mad at little August. Hey, August. Holla at your girl.
Handsome.
Hey, handsome.